Greetings, Laylians! On this episode of Behind the Scenes at MoCo Press, I'm going to talk to you about reference, specifically why it's good to use reference, and then 3 types of reference that you can have. One that you already own, one that you can befriend, and one that you can buy. Some people treat using reference like it's somehow cheating at drawing, which is about as ridiculous as telling a man who has a broken leg that using crutches to walk is cheating at walking. It's a tool that allows you to get better and better at something until you no longer need that crutch or tool in order to draw that particular thing. It helps build up muscle memory so that instead of drawing something wrong many times because you never bothered to look up reference, you draw it right repeatedly and begin to understand the shapes, the forms, the function of the thing that you're trying to draw. One of the more difficult parts about using reference is finding good reference. Fortunately, you, right now, at this very moment, have an incredible resource at your disposal. Your own face! If you own a camera phone, or a webcam, you already have the tools at your disposal to make great reference. The biggest advantage to this is that you can create really interesting and dynamic shots that will really challenge your abilities with perspective, foreshortening, and expressions. Sometimes you run into a scene where setting up a camera with a timer just isn't gonna cut it. This scene might be something with a lot of action, or where many characters are interacting with one another. At this point, it's time to call in the cavalry. You might call them close friends. I call them violence consultants. This is Kenton and Corey, 2 black belt martial artists that help me choreograph most of my action scenes. It can be a little awkward to ask somebody to be your model, but I really encourage you to push past that. Most people get a kick out of seeing themselves in your work. Plus it can result in some awesomely bizarre questions. Good morning! Say, would you kill a monster for me? Okay, if you were trapped in a train car with nothing but a knife, how would you kill somebody? So if I were, you know, a giant Birdman monster thing, and I was holding up your unconscious body by your shirt, what would that look like? Take up a hostage. Come on, you know you want to try if you've got the guts. Anyway, it can also be really useful to get video of action, because then you can pick the precise moment that looks the most dynamic. Third resource, which you can buy, that I have found really useful is called Facial Expressions. The best part is that it has not only both genders, but a variety of ages and ethnicities represented. It's a really useful resource that is well worth the price, and you can find a link to it in the comments below. You have to be careful with reference not to use it verbatim, as you might have a different body type than the character that you're illustrating. Also, keep in mind that men and women have a little bit different skeletal structure, particularly in the hips, and a different distribution of both muscle and fat in the body. As a result, something that might be easy for a woman might be really uncomfortable or impossible for a man to do. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Behind the Scenes at MoCo Press. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can read my entire story online at laylinescomic.com or visit my store at mocopress.storeenvy.com. He is kind of an intimidating guy. Don't judge me.